Evening, everybody. Mount Vernon Kid here, back again. How's everybody doing on their end? Welcome back to the next episode of my comic reviews. Once again, still having my comic reviews played on my main channel. This will be the last month before it moves back to its original regular channel. Uh, but I'm here to talk about the books that came out for the first week of September. That was September 7th. Uh, Books here, as promised. I got Indie, I got Marvel, and I got DC. We're gonna kick it off. Excuse me. We're gonna kick it off with the indie books first, and we're gonna end it with the Marvel. Okay. So how's everybody doing? I hope everybody's well. So let's start off with if I did picks of the weeks, ladies and gentlemen, this would be my pick of the week. Actually, this was really good, and it's from Aftershock Comics, and it's entitled, bam, there you go, Alters. Number one, Paul Jenkins does the writing, and artwork is done by Leah Lees. I hope I'm saying her name right. Um, so what is this book all about? Okay, so first of all, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first book that has the very first transgender superhero. Yeah. So the story is told through the eyes of the main character known as Charlie, and he is what is known in this world as an alter. Think of it kind of as being a human, inhuman, or a mutant in a sense. You gain these super abilities, and uh, that's what he is. And there's like a good side and there's a bad side. There's a group that is run by this super genius known as Octavian, and there's kind of the bad group that follows bad alters that are led by this gay guy. I think he's called the Matter Man, and he's like, basically, what if Magneto was straight up crazy? Like, he didn't give a shit. If you didn't join him, you die. That's how he was. That's how he is. But this world revolves around Charlie, who is the middle child of a Cleveland, Ohio family, who is an alter, who is also transgender. And when he's an alter, he looks like this. Yeah. Who we don't get to know what his name is until the end of the book. Um, but he's struggling with not only being an alter but also being transgender. He hasn't told his parents that he is not really comfortable as being Charlie. Like I said, he's the middle child, so he also has a brother who has cerebral palsy, and then another brother. I think that's the older brother. So he has a lot on his plate to deal with, and he's telling the story through us reading his diary. And the storytelling was really driven. I'm not the biggest Paul Jenkins fans, but this really grabbed me, and I was like, okay, this is really good. And it's like this is not like, you know, telling your parents that you're going into the military or something like that. No, this is totally different. He is different, and then some more, and you go from there. That was good. This was good. This is very good. I very much enjoyed Alters, number one. All right, so let's move on to Antarctic Press Comics, and the writer himself uh, told me personally I would enjoy the second issue of this, and I want to thank Mr. John Crowther for the compliments and the word of advice, because Rochelle number 2, here it is, booyah. Yes, you were right, Mr. C. I did enjoy the next issue of this miniseries. So The concept is basically, without spoiling too much, is Rochelle. We see her in school, and we get to see that people are picking on, I guess, a new transfer student who's kind of out there. She doesn't talk to many people. She wants to be left alone. She's quasi, I would say, emo. Like, leave me alone. Woe is me. I hate the world. And Rochelle tries to embrace her, because everybody says she's different, like things like that. So Rochelle, being who she is, goes to approach her, and we get to see that she is kind of exactly what she says. Her name, I want to make sure I get her name right. Um, her name is uh Angel Lopside. I think that's what they call it. And we get to see why she's called that later on. Um, and it becomes like almost a routine for the students to just pick on her, and we get to see why. She's always wearing like this hood, like this very long hood, and we don't get to see it. And then we see why. Half of her body is very increasingly muscular. Like her one arm is like hugely muscular, and the other side is not. Hence, this you gotta call her lopside. And then also, other than that, we got a super powered uh, soldier coming to, I guess, kidnap the president, who's coming to this part of Florida. Um, which is really good. This was a really good story. Really good. This one was more action based than the first issue. Uh, does Angel and Rochelle kind of get along? I'm not gonna ruin that for you. I don't want to, but this was fun. Rochelle #2, um, very good. All right, and we move on to Boom Studios, and this miniseries was completely drawn, written, etc., etc., by Frank Cho, and the title is called Skybourne #1. Saw this list there. I was like, okay, this has me. Um, the gist of it, once again, I don't want to ruin it or mistake anything. So I'm gonna take it out just so I can make sure everything is correct. Okay. Um, it's created, written, and illustrated by Frank Cho. Basically, the story goes that a character known as Lazarus was resurrected. He had a family. He had kids, three. Uh, Abraham, Thomas, and Grace Skybourne. And all three of his kids were blessed or cursed with superhuman strength, impregnable skin, and they are immortal. And we get to see the kids, what they're doing in this modern world. Um, this book is a little gory. There is some gore, and I'm talking like Mortal Kombat like gore. Uh, and Grace, she is trying to retrieve an item that she paid for. It goes sour. We find out that it was a sword, and what sword was it? I gotta spoil a little bit. It was the famous sword that King Arthur held, Excalibur. And then go from there. It ends on a cliffhanger, a Peter David cliffhanger, but the artwork was good. The storytelling was interesting because I am a big fan of King Arthur lore and things like that. Um, but Skybourne, #1, very good, very good, Mr. Cho. Try not to ruin too much for you guys. Okay, okay, here we go. Let's move on to The Shadow. #4, Death of Margo Lane. Shadow is still reeling from the death of Margo Lane, and He's talking to some of his other, operatives, his agents. Um, he is able to track down. He's still on the lead of trying to figure out who this Red Empress is, and he gets close. He gets really close, very close, and it's to the point where we see that he comes face to face with his opposition, and they're calling him by his ancient name, Yinko. And it's like, ooh, okay, so they know who he is. And we get to see who the Red Empress is. And instantly when I was like, she's gotta be some relation to the Shadow's ancient enemy, Shi Wukong. And that's exactly who she is. She is the daughter of Shi Wukong. That caught me. That was a dun 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 moment. But the Shadow. This was good. Matt Wagner does a good job with this. This has been a really good series. It does suck that, Margo's dead, but it's been really good. I've been really enjoying it. So, let's move on to the next book, and this comes from Joe Books Unlimited, and it's not Darkwing Duck. It's another book I saw that actually caught my eye, and I was really interested in it. And it's written by Spillane Firestone, and drawn by Hopskin Ponce, and it's called Rebel. Um, Number one. Oh, excuse me. Sarah. Sarah. It's written by Sarah Spillane and Jay Firestone. That's who it's written by. Artwork is done by German Ponce. Okay. So basically, this is a really just true crime drama storytelling, which I'm a big fan of. The story is about a young woman. Her name is Skylar Moore, and her father worked for this like, I guess you could say, mob called the Enterprise, and he was an assassin for them. Um, and now he's in prison. He's going to go to jail for life. Skylar is a law student and a teacher at where does she teach? She teaches. Want to make sure I get where she teaches. It does take place in California. Just wanted to let you guys know. Um, it doesn't really say what she teaches, but Skylar knows that something more is up. She knows her daddy did some things, but the Enterprise, that's the group, is still holding something over her father, and they won't release her. It's kind of like they have her father under contract, so it's almost to the point like Skylar may have to do the unthinkable to complete what her father started. But the drama of this and the storytelling is really where it's at. Not a lot of action. It's just good storytelling, and I applaud Ms. Spillane and Mr. Firestone for this. This was really good. I very much enjoyed it. It felt like Law and Order comic style. That's the best way to describe it. This was good. I very much enjoyed this. All right, let's move on to the DC books, and we'll start it off with Aquaman #6. Abnett, Walker, Hennessy, just still doing a good job with this. Yeah, you see that cover? Yeah, it's Aquaman and Big Blue Superman. So after the last issue, we saw Aquaman and Mira just kick the shit out of the United States Army, pretty much. And the Secretary of Defense, I believe, calls in the Big Blue Superman. Clark comes down and wants to know what's going on with Arthur, why he's doing this. And yes, Arthur does throw the first punch. And it goes back and forth. Superman is like, listen, let's do this calmly, but he's got to defend himself. He wants to help, and it's really intense, you know. But the one thing that really kind of intrigued me was just the way how Aquaman sees himself being a part of the Justice League, and I really felt bad. I'm like, really, Arthur? That's how you feel? Arthur basically says that he is the black sheep of the Justice League, and I'm like, really, Arthur? You see yourself like that? Why? Why would you see yourself like that? Um, which is really sad. I was just like, no. Uh, she even does the fight goes on for a while before it stops, and basically Superman tells Arthur, look, stop this, or else, because we all know Aquaman's being framed, but it's the government still sees sorry about that, still sees Aquaman as kind of a terrorist after seeing what Orm and the Atlanteans did before. But Aquaman's going on to tell Superman, like, under my watch, none of that's happened. None of that's happened. But Superman does warn, he does warn Arthur, and I love that line. Did Superman really threaten us? And Aquaman's like, oh yeah. Mara says, did he mean it? Yep, he meant every word of it. What does that mean? It means we got to find out. I better make sure I clear this up. There's also more with the Black Manta and Nemo, and that was some one-hit stuff right there. I was like, I knew it was coming, but I was like, whoa. All right. Batman #6. This was good too, guys. This King and Ivan Reyes does the artwork on this one, not King, not Finch. Finch does the cover, but that's about it. Um, Gotham Girl has pretty much has a nervous breakdown in this. After the death of her brother, basically she killing her brother, she's losing it. She shaves her head. She's talking to herself. She's just she's on edge. She's about nobody's the engine's on, but nobody's behind that wheel. And that's a scary thought to have somebody who is super powered, but not in their right head. Century. But Duke is telling Batman, look, we gotta help her. Batman agrees, and Bruce does all he can and to help her. And it's almost like he's not really getting through to her with just words. He needs a little bit more. And when Batman removes his cowl, you know it's serious. To get to somebody. That right there was really good. Where he literally removes his cowl to talk to Gotham Girl, and he tells her everything, and she just kind of just breaks down. And it's a beautiful scene where Batman's just embracing her, holding her, just almost just allowing her to cry on his shoulder. But this was really good. I very much enjoyed this. This was more on the dramatic side. The drama was there, and it really grabbed you. Really grabbed you indeed. Cyborg Rebirth #1. Sepper and Pilator, Semper Jr. This is the same guy who did work on Spider-Man, the animated series, back in the 90s, Static Shock, this stuff. He's writing now. And in the beginning, all this is really is just a recap of who Cyborg is. And then it starts getting that. It goes from being past what Cyborg is, how he became who he is, and you see Cyborg in the present fighting a guy called Malware. And that's where it gets really interesting. And the ending just leaves you like, whoa. Not bad. Not bad at all. Green Arrow, #6. This is the first story arc, new story arc called Sins of the Mother. M.V.K, Oliver's sister, has been pretty much kidnapped and drugged by her mother, Shadow, and they're going back to Japan. And Shadow, we're seeing it through the eyes of Shadow, but also seeing what she was like prior to, being with Ali, how she had to try to adjust everything, things like that. And it's really hard for her. And her mother sees her as kind of like a failure, like what she's done is really kind of hurt them or hurt her. And Emiko is pretty much, in a sense, saying, you need to stop being a puppet to the Yakuza, mother, be your own woman, things like that. No real signs currently in the current story of Ali, but this was still good storytelling because it's a daughter trying to free her mother from a light, a light, a life of service from a very big criminal organization like Yakuza. Flintstones #3. Russell Bud. Um, this was great. This was just fun. The main gist of this is Bedrock is invaded by aliens. So if anybody knows Flintstones like I do, you know where this was going. Bedrock is invaded by aliens, little green men, but we find out that they're kids. Um, the kids' guardian or so arrives, and we find out who that guardian is. And if you don't know, I'm gonna tell you. I am the Great Gazoo. Yeah, Gazoo makes his debut in this series. I'll show you what he looks like. I'm just gonna show you. There he is at the end. Uh, this was fun as always. Like I said, the Hanna-Barbera stuff that has been coming out, the ones that I read, if I was to categorize them best to my favorites, it'll go Future Quest, Wacky Raceland, then Flintstone. I don't read Scooby Apocalypse, but not bad at all. Harley Quinn, #3. Oh my God, this is just Amanda Conner, Jimmy Palomini. This is just good. You can't. You're not supposed to take this series seriously. That's what makes it so fun. They're still dealing with the zombie apocalypse. We find out that the alien that was killed, his parents come looking for him. It gets really crazy from there. Seeing Harley and Ivy together is it's just magic. You know what I'm saying? But this was just fun. That's all it was. It was just a lot of fun, guys. A lot of fun indeed. Justice League #4. One world destroyed, and the only Superman could save ours. Yeah, that's no joke. This, the tides are turning, and it still doesn't look good. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm sorry, that's the best way I can describe it. I did love the mono the speech that Lois gives to Batman. I thought that was really good, but it ends on a cliffhanger. Like, what is the league gonna do now? Talk about craziness. Nightwing number 4. All right, so Raptor and Nightwing seem to still be doing their job against, and it gets crazy. This reminded me of the labyrinth with Odysseus and the Minotaur in a sense. Um, Odysseus, Odysseus. Um, but it gets really, really intense, especially with the whole factor that Raptor may have known Dick's parents, and that Raptor, is more than meets the eye. I'll leave it at that. This was good, and that speech with what Dick said to Batman, yeah. Once again, you talk about greatness. Superman number 6. First of all, that cover, badass. In this is the final story arc between Superman and Eradicator, and now Superman is souped up with almost all the Kryptonians that died, and he battles the Eradicator. It was not a pretty sight. Oh, sorry about that. And but it was a hell of a battle. And guess who came to Superman's aid? I won't spoil that because it was really cool. But it's somebody from the Superman family. I love this interaction with Superman, the dialogue between Superman and Jonathan. I love that, and I love that Superman, the world sees Superman as who he is. Remember, this is Superman from another world, but the world saw what he did, and it was just like, it is Superman. They believe. B. Babowski, Bibbo, he's in this, of course, one of Superman's old biggest fans, and I loved what happened to the Batcave, the lunar Batcave, and even Batman himself even says, he can't fix all the costs, the damage. I'm like, whoa, Batman, the price even for Batman is too high, proving that he's not so rich, people. But this was fun. This was good. Peter Tomasi, Gleason, you do a good job. Marvel time. All right, let's move on to all new, all different Avengers. This is issue number 4. Wade Wheatley does the artwork. This all centers around Nydia Pym, Hank Pym's daughter, the all new Wasp. Men come to see her, talking about they are officers of Russian, the Russian Federate Police. Remember, because she's been training in the Red Room, but we find out that they're not. Janet, she knows something is up, and Janet could kind of smell it a mile away. When they deal with the opposition, they now are getting heads up on what's going on with the other heroes. And Nydia just has a really, really good monologue scene where she's speaking from the heart about how she feels about seeing, the heroes fight each other. She's young, but she truly, truly loves the heroes, and seeing them fight, it really breaks her down. It breaks her down really bad, and it's her stepmother, Janet Van Dyne, that is really trying to help her with that. And I thought that was really good. This was good, nonetheless. Daredevil, number 11. Chalso Garni. This is starting to get really creepy and really sick and twisted. Uh, After that horrific ending, what we saw with that painting, we get more into detail of what's going on, who may have painted it. Still the tension between Foggy and Matt. Um, and we do get to see the person responsible, and I was just like, what the fuck is that. I'm not gonna ruin it, but it could be the next issue brings Matt and the Inhumans together. I'm like, here we go, shoehorning the Inhumans into everybody's book. What is the only reason why the Inhumans are in this is because there's evidence to prove that this somebody, the person responsible for that painting, could be Inhuman. Go. Doctor Strange, number 11, Aaron's Nowlin. Now, oh God, it is so sad to see Strange like he is. Magic is almost gone. Can it be replaced? Hopefully it will. But you see the struggles that Strange has to deal with his limited, you know, limited tap to the magic realm. But he's still doing everything he can as the Sorcerer Supreme. And there's the return of an old enemy that we heard that was coming. Who is that enemy? You're gonna have to figure it out when you get this. This was not bad. Invincible Iron Man, number 13. Pretty much this is basically why Tony was not at Rhodey's funeral. That's pretty much what this is. It was good, but this does basically explain where Tony was during the funeral and why he didn't show up. Pretty much. Moon Knight, number 6, Jeff Lemire. Okay, right now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is starting to get really, really weird. And it's keeping me glued, but yeah, getting very, very much weird. Spidey, number 10, Thomas. Probably a book that really just makes me love Spidey again. And pretty much Captain America makes a guest star in this. It's Spidey and Cap versus AIM and MODOK. This felt a lot like the episode of Earth's Mightiest Heroes with Spider-Man, but nonetheless, Cap and Peter deal with AIM. I hope I didn't say Hydra. And boy, do they do ever they deal with AIM. I love the dialogue between Cap and Peter. Cap is asking Peter why he does the things he does, because he knows Peter's young, but he doesn't know who he is. He was kind of recommended to Steve, through Iron Man. And I love the ending between Cap and J. Jonah Jameson. Well done. This was fun. Good stuff. And last but not least, we got Squadron Supreme number 11. Oh, before I forgot, guys, I missed and forgot Supergirl. I'll pick that up next week and review it. But I totally forgot about it. But Squadron Supreme number 11, Robinson Kirk. Pretty much it's Spidey, because some of the Warrior Woman broke into the Baxter building, and Spidey is there to help stop her. And members of the squadron come in: the Blur, Thundra, Hyperion, and Dr. Spectrum come in, and they're telling Spider-Man about everything. And of course, Spidey doesn't kind of trust them. They're the squadron. They do all this stuff. But it was great to see Peter hold his own against the Blur, who's a speedster. Um, and they don't want to fight Peter. They're telling him, like, we actually admire you, Spider-Man, things like that, but we have to do this. Spidey does get a little help thanks to Shield and the original Human Torch, Jim Hammond. Um, it ends pretty good and pretty fast and hard, but this was really, really good. I thought this was good, and it makes me wonder: Are they really thinking about resurrecting Namor? But not bad at all. All right, y'all. That is it for this review. I want to thank everybody for coming through and listening to me run my mouth off about comics. I will see you guys next time, actually next week, with the next stash of comics. And as always, you know my slogan: peace, one love, stay tuned, keep it real, guys. I'll catch you guys on the flip flop. Y'all take care, guys.